if I doubt anything, if I doubt that God even exists, I think about this and I think, oh yeah, that happened. That happened to me. I remember that. I had an encounter with the Holy Spirit and it transformed me. And it's very helpful to go back and remember that. Hi, my name is Tielman, and this is my testimony. So about 15 years ago, I was getting married, and I was unhappy with my career. I had been a caricature artist for a long time, and I was a caricature artist at the Stratosphere, and I was getting pretty sick of it. And my relationship with my dad was not ideal. I was angry with him almost all the time. He was sort of a controlling religious figure in my life, what's the word? Legalistic, and not so loving. So there was a lot of trouble there. But what I would do was I would go on these prayer walks. I lived in Summerlin, so I would go to Calico Basin. You got to go to Calico Basin, it's great. You can walk along the base of a mountain range, or if you choose, you can just walk straight up the side of a mountain. And if you walk farther, you go straight up the side of a bigger mountain. And there's a lot of rock climbers out there, so you can choose. It's an easy walk or a hard hike or a mountain climb. It's whatever you want out there. And parking is free. That place is great. So I would go there for my prayer walks. And this particular time, I was walking along and I was praying about those three things: getting married, my career, relationship with Dad. I had this thought. And the thought was, if I climb this mountain right here, that the Holy Spirit will meet me at the top of it. And I kind of like climbing mountains, so I said, okay, God, if that's you, God, I'm gonna climb this mountain. So I did. It took about an hour and a half. And I was praying the whole time because it was a prayer walk and then it was a prayer climb, so you know, when you climb and pray at the same time, your prayers get sort of unfocused and out of breath, but they're still there. That's what I was doing. So I made it. You climb those mountains at Calico Basin and you're overlooking the whole Red Rock area. It's awesome. It's an awesome place. So I made it, and the Holy Spirit did not meet me at the top of the mountain. And I was not that disappointed because I didn't know, God didn't speak to me in words. I just had this thought. And I was like, okay, I'll keep praying a little bit, then I'll turn around. And so I was up there praying and I looked around and I saw that I was not on top of the mountain. I couldn't see it from the bottom. There's a mountaintop, and then over there, the actual mountaintop. So at this point, I did what I kind of don't recommend to everyone, because maybe it's a dumb decision, because it was August and it was like noon and I did have one bottle of water, so not really the best idea generally, but I kind of wanted to meet the Holy Spirit, and I wanted to know if this voice, is God speaking to me? Because I want that. I want both these things. So I went. It took about 45 minutes to go sort of down and over and up and get to the actual top of the mountain, which was cool. And at the actual top of the mountain, I'll tell you, the Holy Spirit of God also did not meet me. I was not met up there. And that was pretty disappointing. And I was out of water, and I felt, I don't know, a little stupid maybe. So what I did was, start going down. But before that, I looked around and I saw that, I wasn't at the actual top of the mountain. The actual top was down a cliff, across a way, up around a sort of a ravine-y area in the hill. It was up over there. I couldn't see the actual top of this mountain from the previous not actual top that I was on before. That makes sense, right? So I went. And it took an hour. And I went down the little cliff and around and climbed up, and I was exhausted and out of water and maybe not doing the smartest thing at that point. But I went. And at the top of the third, and at the actual top of the mountain, the Holy Spirit of God did meet me, okay? I was met. I'm not kidding. Like, as I walked up to the very peak of the mountain, it was like walking into a cloud. And the cloud affected the way I felt and the way I thought. I didn't get any words from God at that moment. It was just like a sense of perspective, like knowing who I was and who He was, and where I was in relationship to that, and what our connection was. So I ended up, as a result of that sense of perspective, just singing, praying, crying. You meet the Holy Spirit, you cry, I swear. I noticed later that day or the next day, I noticed that I had no anger towards my father. It was gone. And it never came back. I forgave him. I called him to tell him I was able to have a relationship with my dad again.